no shame. Whining about your back every time you bring out the measuring tape.
René, you're a man with a fork in a world of soup. Please, let's just try to enjoy the game, alright?
I'm trying to, but you keep breaking my concentration. You're old. I can see that. We're both old. Now stop grabbing your ass like it's a girl.
These manly men are playing balls. This is a ball game. Grab a ball and play it. Don't ask questions. Shoot first. Ask questions never. No, you got this. There's the ball. You're the game. You are immediately surprised by the ball's lack of weight. No matter, you'll make it work. The cold metal ball is surprisingly smooth against your neck. It has a pattern on it, probably a sponsored ball. Yours would only be covered with bumps of learning and scars of victory. Already your muscles are adjusting to the weight, the nervous system calibrating, until you and the ball have merged into a single entity. The man ball is ready.
Merde! Bordel de merde!
A whorehouse of shit? It wasn't whorehouse of shit. The shot was at least 23 meters, probably 24, and then some. Nothing to be embarrassed about.
What the hell is your problem? I don't care if you are a cop. You do not just ruin someone's game. It's so goddamn disrespectful. You vandalized our game, son. We can't play pétanque with 5 bull. Well, it damn well isn't. It's pétanque. You ruined a pétanque game. We want our bull back.
Take it easy, René. This is just a misunderstanding, isn't it, officer? No harm done.
Of course there's harm done, you orange slug. You owe us a goddamn bull. Good. Mistakes are forgiven, but men at least try to right their wrongs. I believe you will try. Now, why did you approach us?
Yes, why did you come here? It's unlikely they know anything about the murder. Just talk. It'll smooth things over. Old people like attention.
Yes. The terrain here provides an interesting variety to a familiar game. I do. Fire from heavy artillery. Why what? Because that's what happens when communards hijack your country, execute your supreme leadership, and turn your capital into a slaughterhouse. You use heavy ordnance to clean up your home. Commies, communists, socialists, anarchists, call them what you like. They just chose the name to feel special. Senseless sentimentality. Sadly, no. It was the foreigners who brought them to their knees. We fought valiantly. Too valiantly. So valiantly we got licked. Should have fought dirty, like they did with their suicide sex cult propaganda and mad anarchist women strapped to shrapnel bombs. We didn't though, and we lacked caliber. God bless him, but the suzerain's cannons simply weren't big enough. Because this place is a damn beachhead. Had to soften the commies up first. Yes, the military coordinated amphibious landing to take back Revachol.
He finds your lack of historic knowledge troubling, a sign of mental deterioration in the preceding generations.
Martinez was used as one of the 3 footholds in Revachol during Operation Deathblow in '08. The other 2 are off in Stella Maris and the Delta. This here is Blood Ground, where Coalition boots first made landfall and cleaned those rabid dogs out. Most likely, we're playing pétanque on their mangled corpses.
Blood ground. You got old René going there. Like he isn't hungry enough already.
Damn right, son. They laid the fire of hell on this city before they stormed it. And it worked, too. The rest of the city got cleaned up, but Martinez they keep as a monument. And now the Union Socialists are practically running the place.
Well, it's your own damn fault. You, we, the Coalition, Revachol, whoever you want to blame, never finished the job. Officially, the party never surrendered. Of course they still hold influence.
You don't even begin to truly understand the players at the table, let alone the specific circumstances surrounding the... What do you think?
Thinking men have opinions on these things. Present one.
I'm sorry it had to be them. After 8 years of fighting those hyenas, boiling cats for food and drinking piss in the mountains, I would have preferred if the Right Honorable King Guillaume returned through Revachol, or even if that damn clan Frisel had risen from the grave and led us. Sadly, that was not the case.
This royal failure weighs heavily on him.
Instead, all that is just, holy, and beautiful in the world was wiped away, and now it's neon signs with toothpaste ads everywhere. Foreign influence peddling garbage and stupid music on the radio. This is just what the commies wanted. This was their plan all along. This is what they wanted to replace the role of the suzerain with. It doesn't. That was 100 years ago. Ain't got nothing to do with anything. Damn Frisel. He was a king we couldn't protect. The Carabineers failed him, and the crown. He died in the hands of the Hyperlay, in a very public execution. A true king in both blood and mind led Revachol before Frisel. He would have been better, but the damn commies drove him into exile.
Some manner of self-deceit is present in his thinking. Sounds like this Guillaume abandoned him, and he doesn't want to admit it.
The suzerain is the king! Has everyone forgotten already? They've forgotten already. It's no use talking to you. You were still in Daddy's balls when it happened. When we took our last stand against the filth and rode the cavalry straight into gunfire. Unfortunately, I don't. Unlike most of the locals, I have no qualms about assisting law enforcement. But this affair has passed me by completely. In Martinez, the Union is the law. So can you really blame them? Cop is a pejorative term. I don't have a problem with policemen. On the contrary, I admire the effort to bring order to our streets.
He doesn't know about the crime. Your time is better spent discussing politics.
If I knew, I would not be afraid to tell you. I simply don't. I'm an old man, not a coward. The daily business of the riffraff no longer concerns me.
'Tis true, sire. He knows nothing. This is a man with a lot of past, but little present, and almost no future.
Ah, yes. King Philip III on his steed. A reminder of what Revachol once was.
Oh, absolutely. At the mercy of a cocaine-snorting tyrant who emptied the treasury so he could sleep on a bed of gold.
A superpower, feared and respected. A testament to what this country can be under the leadership of a true king. Someone who knows how to rule.
Oh, old Philip was a big fan of the purple nose candy the nobility loved so much. A cocaine connoisseur of sorts. Ha! His egocentricity is borderline legendary.
You can't even take responsibility for yourself. How could you fathom the responsibility weighing on the shoulders of a ruler? That's why the Philippian kings use cocaine, for clarity of vision, to aid in their work. Regnum cocainum, Revachol's finest years.
Of course, clarity of vision, awareness.
Philip III was even brought into this world with the help of cocaine. The court medic administered a dose to his mother when she was in labor, and it is well known that with the help of cocaine, only the purest, of course, he was able to connect with higher realms.
Higher realms. Of course, it all makes sense. He's just making excuses for the king's habits, isn't he?
From what I've seen of the officers of the Elysium... But I don't want to get into a debate about drug policies. Right.
All you observe is a veteran refusing to let go of the past and his old.
This is the uniform of the Royal Carabineers in service of Fissel I, Guillaume le Lion, and the valiant King Philip V before him.
Don't you mean Fristel the Fan?
You do not speak his name, Craven, although he was a clown. But he was our clown, ours to ridicule and to mourn.
There's something you missed. You will get to it, don't worry. Hey, so we've been monitoring you internally, and now we know your Copo type. Yes, guess what's yours? Yes, sorry cop. The cop who's sorriest. Let's make it official then, shall we? Huge lack of enthusiasm going on in here. Of course you are. It's okay. See if you can get something out of this, like info. Or maybe every time you say you're sorry, you get $1 million. That won't happen. It's clear you like the hard stuff, Bruta. Evening falls. The time has come to take the vow. The vows are blood and flesh. Lower intestine. The term is metabolic and circulatory system. Fascism, Bruta. Many things, but it's mostly about trusting your gut. Who does your gut tell you is the source of Revachol's problems? Quit stalling, Bruiser. We're talking about the weakest, worst, most insane thing. The weak link. Yes, them, but also Women. Women. Men of war. You don't like them. They're insane. Their idiocy needs to be scrubbed off this world with rubbing alcohol. Women need to go back to the fucking kitchen. That's what fascism boils down to. The rest is also important. But the main thing is that women need to know their place. Stomach truth. You're having a stomach truth. Because you've said the hard things that others won't say. The good things, you've said them many times. Okay, yes, let's call it that. Good thinking. That sounds much better. Traditionalism. You like the sound of that. You're going to keep your vooz, right? Keep your vooz, Brota. There's a slow, painful growl somewhere in your intestines, knocking on your alcohol-engorged liver. It is one of betrayal and disappointment. Lonesome, long way home. Here we go. Home awaits. Walk past Station 41 and through the market, past the Boogie Street spearhead to the other side of the lake, the frozen eye at the center of the district. Then past the video rental store on the corner. There, at the end of a street lined with pine trees, a small house no larger than a matchbox. 11 Voyager Road. You no longer live there. Those times are gone. And so are those people. Why did you come here? Why are you still here? And where's the dealer? You have to get back to work. That's all you have now. The worn and beaten wooden planks of the bench do not look overly comfortable.
We can sit on benches after we've solved the murder. Let's...
These shelves are overburdened with books from the same series. You see the name Dick Mullen over and over.
Oh, crime, robberies, murders, even sexual crimes. We're fortunate to have Dick Mullen and his stories to sort all that out. You're a police officer, apparently. You should buy all of these. They really do teach a person how to be a proper detective.
Crime fiction is a disgrace. An asinine misrepresentation of the physical attributes of the arduous everyday work of actual police officers. These books greatly overstate the excitement of police work, glossing over how long it takes to actually follow up on leads and eliminate dead ends. What's more, they completely ignore the psychological hardships of year after year coming into contact with people during the worst days of their lives. Not a single mention of all the stress this work creates upon the officer's family. Detective fiction just doesn't tell the truth at all. Now, would you like a list of all the books found on the shelf? You see Dick Mullen on the job. Get Me Mullen. The Stalwart Adventures of Richard P. Mullen. Dick Mullen and the Murder in the Orchard. The Sordid Affair of Dick Mullen. A killing is declared. Dick Mullen in the Murder House. The Final Case of Dick Mullen. An Obvious Lie. Dick Mullen in the Clock Tower. The Ordeals of Dick Mullen. Dauntless Dick. Dick Mullen's Funeral Pyre. The Murder of Dick Mullen. Oh no, turns out he faked it to solve a case. Yes, there's also The Dame Who Did It. Farewell, My Mullen. Faking death seems to be a common trope in the Mullen series. The morbid tales of Dick Mullen. A dark tide turns. Tragedy Calls for Dick Mullen. Another one with fake death. And, of course, Dick Mullen, the murderer. In order to catch a murderer, Dick Mullen must become the murderer. After all this, you still haven't found the answer to the one question that matters. Who is Dick Mullen? Your quick eye notices a small caterpillar crawling across the spine of a book. The title reads, Dick Mullen and the Mistaken Identity. A worn paperback from Dick Mullen's classic hard-boiled phase. The premise seems to be that Dick Mullen is framed for the murder of his best friend and has just a few days to prove his innocence. Could it be the motifs of unstable identities and shocking betrayals? Then this is the book for you. The plaque on the shelf reads, Biographies of Famous People. You see a large variety of names, none of which ring a bell.
I would say The Greatest Innocence. Yes, most certainly. It's an important educational tool delving into the depths of history, religion, and their relation to innocentic power. A very influential historical figure. But surely I don't have to tell you that. You're a law officer, and law officers have at least some education. The book is also very daring. The author aims to re-examine the universal understandings of the innocentic system, creating a fresh vantage point and a shift in the tired order of things. Perhaps for a layman, deep analysis is necessary to peel back the multi-layered meanings.
Do her words seem vague and abstract to you?
Certainly, it's prudent for a person to have at least an elementary understanding of history and society. Imagine the chaos we'd be in otherwise.
You feel like you should get this one? Definitely. It's important somehow. There's something personal inside. This bookstore is not strictly about crime, romance, and biographies of famous people. There's also a wide range of paranatural literature.
Sir, please, no browsing in that shelf. That wisdom is not for free. I can't have you end up, like, opening a police store next door and stealing my customers. Oh, no.
Amidst the various books, you find one written by someone named Matthias W. Dundas. It's about wholeness, unity, balance. These three things are very important to the working class mind. The point of the book, and many others on this shelf, is to give people medicinal advice in situations where they don't have access to paid health services. It serves platitudes, while also telling everyone that traditional medicine, the kind people don't have access to, and which costs more than this book, is garbage, and would only give you cancer anyway, without even curing your cold or anything. Wholeness, unity, balance, on the other hand, can basically take care of anything. Though it is important to note, when it's up to your mind to heal yourself, then it's because of your mind that you're ill in the first place. The book features chapters on topics such as how to find magnesium. It even lists plants you can harvest magnesium from. How to continue drinking if you're an alcoholic who has destroyed his liver. And there's even a chapter on the ancient Seraïs tradition of using duck gallbladder preservatives to treat and prevent sexually transmitted diseases. Pre and post factum apply. Nothing worth buying. This is just mundane garbage. What's even paranatural about this? The throbbing in your head increases with every passing moment you gaze at this shelf. Suddenly, as if out of nowhere, a small green book becomes apparent. The title of it reads, Medicinal Purposes of the Pearl. The book contains very little explanation on the matter. This knowledge seems to be taken for granted. The book contains descriptions of various pseudoscientific therapies, alternative medicines, and folk remedies involving the pearl, also known as le territoire. For example, it recommends vigorously swatting one's naked body with a venik, or hand broom, made from the leafy twigs of a young birch tree from the near pearl. It is supposedly invigorating and good for the circulation. It also recommends consuming distilled spirits like vodka or whiskey that have been aged in the pearl. Readers are instructed to cover these jars in a shallow hole just inside the pearl and leave them there for 30 to 60 days, depending on the potency desired. Among other benefits, it is alleged to restore a damaged liver to perfect health. Is it any more improbable than anything else that human beings put their faith in? For general health and well-being, readers are encouraged to take regular strolls through the pearl, though a sidebar cautions readers to limit each stroll to less than an hour. These strolls promise to cleanse the mind of worries and the body of toxins, especially if the perambulator performs this ritual in the nude. Nudity figures prominently in a number of these prescriptions. This is exactly what you need. There's an entire section devoted to cures for men who are struggling to perform their marital obligations.
Excuse me, sir. I believe you've been perusing that particular volume long enough. If you'd like to continue reading, I must insist you buy it.
Several maps have been attached to a bulletin board hidden inside the alcove. They're held up by small pins. The board has come loose from one corner. The maps look old and faded. Your eye catches a map of Insulinda, a map of Revachol, and a map of Martinez. It's not really a map. It's a tourist thing. A picture postcard with buildings on it, drawn from an isometric perspective. A date in the upper right corner says 48. Still, it's detailed. Could be pretty useful for scouting ahead. You see the jagged boxes of an industrial harbor, even the whirling in rags there. This large map displays archipelagos. You see a constellation of small dots on the light blue emptiness of the Insulindic Ocean. The largest in the northeast is La Caillou. You are here. Another far away in the southwest, Seminese Islands, Ile de Fantôme. Ozon, Laurentide, Fas à la Mer, archipelagos, North Arcade Islands, all just specks of dust on the vastness of the Insulindic. On the edges of the map, the color fades into a blur of dotted lines, black and white, disintegrating into mathematics. In the northeast, a dust mite stands on the north coast of Caillou. In a bookstore, it's you. You can, on Caillou, Revachol, a single black star, on Ozon, Fondelier, and Vilmandu, on archipelagos, Croyan-Moran, Villiers, on Seminine, Olduvai, and on Laurentide, Deora of the Seven Seas. Lost little pearls of light, tiny fires in the dark. 850 million people live on these little dots, an oceanic world of culture and commerce torn apart by history. The ocean breaks apart into a tangle of cosines and azimuths, all pointing into pale nothingness. Windy is the north azimuth. Grad is the northeast azimuth. Samara is the east azimuth. Seol is the west azimuth. Isolas, they're called. Connections to other worlds. Words past the Insulindian, unknown to you. You only know you've never been there. You have little idea what they are. Distant stars, gods, but looking at them makes you feel almost non-existent. Whatever they are, the Isolas are immeasurably large compared to you, and very, very far away. Perhaps they are gods, gods of distance and outer dust. The north coast of a verdant island is shattered by the delta of a river. It is the River Esperance. Countless bridges put the shards back together, connecting city blocks to river islands. La Delta says a great artificial heart in the center, teeming with life forms and construction. To the east, rolling hillsides, Le Jardin, Stella Marie, the suburbs of Saint-Baptiste, swallowed up into the megacity. They sound rich to you. This is Revachol East. Huron, it's somewhere to live. Not bad. Then there's Jamrock. It's bad. People shouldn't live there, but they do. Then Forburg. It's almost as bad, and much larger. Then Coal City. It's the worst. It's so small you can't even see it on the map. No, wait. There it is, north of Jamrock, the strip of coast next to the Greater Revachol Industrial Harbor. It looks downright despondent. It's almost Coal City, to be honest. No, this is somewhere to be. This is all you have. But it's still something. Streets and sodium lights, the sky, the world. You're still alive.
I'm sorry, officer. The map of Martinez is the only one available. The other two are not for sale anymore. And besides, you could scarcely afford them. They're quite valuable, though they might not look it. The map of Martinez is 90 cents, though. That old thing? It's an out-of-date map of a tourist location that never was nor came to be. From when some design studio people tried to spruce the place up 4 or 5 years ago. They also renovated the horse statue, set up those coin-operated viewers, and designed the new street lamps.
The place does not look like a successful tourist trap, does it?
They didn't get that far, for some reason. A shame the project never got going. Would be nice if someone fixed Martinez up. All these ruins are bad for business.
Slowly, you move your hand toward the map attached to the board. Before you even reach the map, you're interrupted.
Perhaps not. It's against RCM policy to defraud small business owners.
Always good to be informed of your surroundings.
A small mountain of colorful board game boxes. There are numerous types of games for all ages. A lot of shelf space seems to be taken up by Wirral-related merchandise.
Wonderful board games, sir. The Viticulturist is a classic for sure, or perhaps you'd like Archipelagos of Insulinde, a very educational game for those interested in geography. Raubritter is a fun game of economic competition, but can get quite intense after a while. We have games for the whole family. You can play with your children.
Who are you going to play board games with? Do you have friends or family? Are you actually friends? Or just colleagues thrown together by circumstance?
Friends are technically like family. For playing with friends, I'd recommend Suzerainty. It's a civilization building game where you build a civilization, then set off to brutally colonize and repress other civilizations. It'll cost 12 real.
The display rack is brimming with worn paperbacks featuring an extremely muscular, sword-wielding barbarian on the cover. Nearly all the titles contain the word Heimdall.
Oh, Man from Heimdall. A very popular series of adventure novels. They're awfully immoral and violent books. Blood and violence, scantily clad women, epic narratives, all those mystical things he encounters. They're bound to grab those with little imagination and nothing to do. What does it matter? They're all the same. However, the customer is always right, they say. If you're a novice of the series, I'd recommend Heimdallaman, the Man from Heimdall. It's supposed to be a good introduction to the series.
The worn map features the patchwork grid of the streets of Martinez, with directions to appropriately touristy locations. Year 48 resides on the upper right corner. Your finger moves through the various streets, across Rue de Saint-Ghislain and Rue Saint-Sipar, over Saint-Brun and Martinez North, finally coming to a halt on the spot where you are currently standing, although the map gives no such indication itself. The sight of bullet holes stirs something in you, making you forget the lieutenant's surname. The faded marks are too degraded to draw any forensic conclusions, just chips in the sandstone. They look pretty ancient.
Where? There? Those are old. These bullets were fired during the Revolution, over half a century ago. They do not warrant investigation. We should focus on present crimes, from the present century.
This is a wall on the side of an apartment building.
Are you trying to sneak up on me? Come to slit my throat in my sleep? Pigs come to take me out, trying to snuff me out. Faggoty. Look at the ass on that.
You see a young man on a balcony nursing a cigarette. His eyes have been following you for a while.
Not looking for any trouble, officer. I don't want to be seen talking to the gendarmerie, if that's okay. I just want to finish my cigarette.
Don't let him go. This could be your witness. The balcony has a great view of the whole thing.
Is it really that important?
Like a nervous cat, he keeps stealing looks at the neighboring windows.
All right, but make it quick. Once I finish this cigarette, I have to run.
Martin Martinez? Good local name. Let's go with that.
We will remove the body as soon as possible. Now tell us, where were you last Sunday? And when did you speak to this more muscular gentleman?
It'll take more than rain to bring this place back to life.
You didn't answer the question. What were you doing last Sunday?
He doesn't reply, gesturing no with his cigarette. Under the grey sky, the neighboring windows are streaked with rain. This isn't the place or time for questions. Who knows who might be watching from the distance, hidden behind the curtains? For a moment, the man on the balcony seems almost vulnerable. Something moves in the depths of his feline eyes, compassion and a hint of understanding. But, hold on, what's that? For a split second, his hand lingers, as though gesturing towards a stone placed right next to the front door. It's a sign.
He's gone. No point in running. Tenements like these often have multiple exits. If he doesn't want to talk to us, then he'll know how to hide himself. He could be a witness. Him or his Sunday friend. Our case. He did leave us a sign. Did you see that? He wanted to draw our attention to that stone right over there. If we find a way inside the building, we can ask around for his apartment.
A stone, like any other, lying in a whirl of sleet and mud. Maybe there's something under it. There's a key beneath it, rusty from the dirt.
This must be for the front door. Pity doesn't have the apartment number on it. This building has many apartments and the man can be in any of them. We'll just have to go in and see.
This door has been closed with a padlock. A chalk-drawn number on the board says, number 11. It's a solid lump of metal, but the shackle is deeply corroded. A solid pair of chain cutters would make short work of it. Better whip out those cutters. You won't get very far otherwise. It's a solid lump of metal. Better whip out those cutters. This door has been closed with a padlock. A chalk-drawn number. What are you doing? You're trying to cut the body of the lock with the chain.
I believe it's the shackle you mean to cut, Detective.
He's just trying to help. Don't take it bad. Relax.
Perhaps you should give it another go.
The shackle snaps like a twig, and the lock falls to the floor with a little thud. It should be possible to enter now.
After you, Detective.
A plaster cast bust depicts a middle-aged man with impressive sideburns. The name on the plinth reads, Kraz Mazov. Honestly, he does kind of look like you after all.
The White Star, the photos on the wall. I think we have broken into the apartment of a young communard. How fitting. Hold on a second. Is this why you broke in here? To find out whether you're Krasmazov? Sure it is. Well, you both do seem to share an affinity for sideburns, but it seems like old Kras here didn't drink nearly as much as you. Ah, very well. Let's look for identifying features then. Doesn't he have a birthmark right here? What about you? Then it's settled. You are not Krasmazov. All right, but here's the big thing. Krasmazov looks Samaran, and you don't. Okay, you win. Be Krasmazov then. I don't care. Why are you so hell-bent on proving that you're Krasmazov anyway? All right, Kras. You fought in the revolution and everything, if you say so.
A plaster cast, honestly. He does kind of look like you after all. You hear someone walking around inside, rearranging the furniture. The number on the panel says 10. The walking stops abruptly, but no one comes to the door. You can feel tension on the other side. A poor communard, from the looks of it. The room is barely bigger than a closet.
Let's go. We don't have a reason to get inside that apartment.
It's generally easier to do things if you have literally any reason.
Give me a moment. The cold never does any good for my bronchitis. Go ahead then. What do you want to know, policeman?
She's the cleaning lady. She knows the floor plan and the residence. Oops, you really didn't get the joke there.
I thought it was obvious. Anyway, officer, we don't have the witness's name.
Somewhere in the building, a child starts crying. You hear a radio tuned to a talk show and someone taking a shower.
Thank you. We should go check out his apartment on the balcony. See if he's home.
They probably just moved or died, hopefully somewhere else. She mumbles some kind of a response, then hacks something into her handkerchief. You hear someone walking around. There's no sweet talking your way in there. Be official. You have plenty of reason to enter.
That was smart.
Satisfied? My name is Marielle Charpentier, and I'm an agent with Martinez Realty Associates. I am not breaking in, as I have every right to be here. The keys, see?
Her voice is really cheerful, despite her obviously hating you.
Do you want to see my ID as well? You can't legally ask for it, but why not? Want to see my residence permit too? Very well, but please make it quick. I need to be back in La Delta in an hour. Oh, that's another huge mess. The former tenant owes us 3 months of rent. 3. We closed the apartment and planned on auctioning off the valuables, but... And again, I have no idea how stupid mistakes like this can even happen. But Ron, when he came to close the door, didn't close the neighboring door. And there's a hole in the wall. A hole in the wall. Can you believe it? And then the tenant ran off with his stuff. He's gone. The money's gone. Just like that.
The sum must have been puny.
These apartments are perfectly fine. They have gorgeous architecture, a million-real view of the bay, good ventilation, neighbors, life, spark, and they are affordable. I'll tell you, Martinez has a future. In a few years, it's going to blossom with artists and creatives and those radio computer wizards. Well, it does not disappear from my hands. No, I don't let it. Don't ask me what happened with the wall. I have no idea how we're going to find the time or resources to fix it. Both apartments are now unrentable. Both. I need to get it ready for the next lease, but as you can see, the previous tenant completely trashed the place. It was some kind of a moribund old man who used to be a business owner. You'd think they'd make rent. But that was months ago. Anyway, was there anything you wanted, or is that it? I'm in a hurry. Of course. What now? I need to get it. It was some kind of a moribund old man who... But that was months ago. Of course.
Give me a moment.
Your statements are too vague to comment on. Ruination has come. The broken arches betray the once grand history of this building. It towered over the harbor until it happened. A great force from the northeast fired into the city. Heavy artillery shelled the coastline, fired from the water, a straight shot into Revachol. The tenement acted as a defensive wall against the worst of the shelling until it was destroyed. and they had a direct firing line. The waves of the Martinez Inlet rolled over the fallen remains of the building. The dark waters obscured the better part of the remains. What didn't fall into the ocean was used as scrap. What wasn't used as scrap was thrown into the ocean. Those arches acted as support for something greater than what you see now. Only 3 stories stand where 9 to 12 once did. Restoration has failed. What the shelling took out was never rebuilt. A fleet, the combined armies of Occident and Grad, with Mesk volunteers, a 5-nation army, hundreds of vessels. They massed airships further down in the Bay of Revachol. The artillery was so powerful. The ships not only required gyroscopic stabilization, they were anchored into the ocean floor as well. Many are still there to this day. If you squint, you can just barely see the shadow on the water, far in the northeast. Cannons still ready to placate Revachol.
The Coalition. But that was a long time ago. I think we should move on. It's chilly up here.
He does not like talking politics of this kind.
The streets will flow red once more. A great torrent rushing down Rue de Esperance. You wait and see.
The streets will not flow red with anything. Who are you?
I'm Cindy the fucking Skull. What else do you want to know? Date of birth, blood type, the last time I was tested for Hep C. And here I was trying to be polite. Just can't win with you pigs.
That smell coming from her paint bucket, it's not paint, it's heavy fuel oil.
Red-dyed heavy fuel oil, intended for exclusive use in government vehicles, to be precise.
What did you think I was using? Aquarels? Sucked it out of a cop's fuel tank myself. Back in Jamrock.
She really did it. She's proud of it too.
Or what? You'll push me off this ledge and pry the bucket from my dead hands?
She nods disdainfully toward the woman performing maintenance on the boat docked next to the pier. Hatred, disgust, it's difficult to tell which of the two is more present in her girlish features.
That Ozon.
The woman on the boat does not notice her staring. Ozon is an archipelago 2 days' travel away from Revachol. Its moneyed residents, used to posh restaurants and upscale boutiques, rarely have reason to visit Martinez.
Probably the Wild Pines rep. We should talk to her. She's a professional negotiator, though. I have the feeling she will be very cooperative while telling us nothing. You should take the lead. Ask her unexpected questions, you know? Do your thing. Don't be afraid to get a bit wacky. Throwing her off is our best bet.
Good idea, piggies. Run along now. Fuck her shit up good. Impound that boat while you're at it. I'd like to watch her swim back to Ozon. Can't you tell? I'm painting a beautiful mural, an aereo graffitio visible from low orbit. I haven't really started it yet. I'm waiting for the right words. Have you ever tried your hand at graffitio? When faced with a blank wall, most people write unimaginative stuff, like pigs go home and Mona was here. We rarely see pigs round here, though. Just union cads. And my name's not Mona, so...
She wants it to be something true and total.
This place is severely lacking in havoc. Not even the occasional trash can fire to break up the tedium. I thought I'd mix it up. You know, summon the forces of crime and social chaos with a wall-sized invitation. Yeah? Thanks. I'm sure the inspiration will come to me now that I have an official RCM stamp of approval.
You've lessened her desire to deface the building.
I ain't no snitch, pigstein. Go forth and forage in someone else's shit. No shortage of squealers in these parts.
Actually, there is a shortage of people who talk to us in a normal, calm, informative manner.
We weren't put on this earth to make your life pleasant, fucko. Watch your back, ungulate. You've got eyes on you.
Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM. Phaeton, my maiden name. I'm glad to see you here. I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will, gladly.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual medical episode. Very unusual. But I can assure you of his ultimate competency.
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation, and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines Group.
It's hard to get a read on her precise disposition, but she appears helpful.
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets. First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Aliments. That gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus. Why? By throwing off half a century of foreign domination under the Coalition. Unfortunately for you, the Coalition also leases you the right to police West Revachol.
You'd be shooting yourself in the foot, in other words.
But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike. I believe the official title is Senior Labour Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place. Now they won't even let me into the harbour. There's a 2-meter-20 racist behemoth blocking the gates. Oh, so you've met him. Has he beguiled you with his inane theories?
My colleague has his peculiarities. Let's not go into this particular one just yet.
Of course. To each their own. Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM.
But the strike began in December.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike?
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive. Mr. Clare told him to... how did he put it? Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see. Yes. Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the union. There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Oh, yes. Every worker, a member of the board.
Most of the workers probably don't know what that means.
Fortunately, they explained it. Every time the Wild Pines Group makes a decision about anything, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group. I'm not sure. Naturally, I assume that was just their opening position, a hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags. A disastrous situation if there ever was one.
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
I first heard it from the bowyer at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, "Call me mañana."
This checks out.
The scabs? You mean the huddled masses of Jamrock, come to plead for work where the Union refuses to? If they were organized by Wild Pines or its affiliates, then it would be a company secret. I could not share it with you. Not right now, at least.
It's implied. She's open to discussing this matter with you at a later occasion.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first. Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood. He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar. Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues. The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. Organised labour at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say?
A mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, I suspect we'll be forced to cooperate with them.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother. And your opinion, detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is... Of course, officer. I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the Union. She disappeared.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore, or coming to work. Ever. End of story. Indeed. The company suspects foul play, but there's nothing they could do. It was a union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
Of course. How else can I help? Why, yes I am. Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around? Yes, we are. We are on Le Caillou. We are. And the city of Revachol is on the island of Le Caillou. Good. What we do. I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole. It's a giant undertaking. The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. See those airships there, blinking? Those are the shipping side of things. And that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms. Why, thank you. I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year, the company booked more than 20 billion real in revenue. $20 billion is a large number. But the conglomerate employs 72,000 people. They all need to be paid. Then there are capital improvements, interest payments. A conglomerate the size of the Wild Pines is like a shark. If it stops moving, it will die. Then what becomes of those 72,000 families? It's a tremendous responsibility. Quite a few things, I'm afraid. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. I am Lieutenant Kitsuragi from Precinct 57. And this is my colleague from Precinct 41. I'm afraid he doesn't have his badge at the moment. I hope mine will suffice.
How curious. Why is that, Detective?
Awkwardness washes over the conversation. The woman doesn't like this turn of events.
I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode? I can't hear you, darling. Speak up, please. Oh dear. Some kind of encephalopathic amnesia. I don't even know how to respond. I do believe you, naive as that may sound. I simply can't imagine what you gain by faking such a condition.
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer of the RCM.
Of course, I sympathize. But I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen that badge.
Hang on. She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement. Feelings will guide the way.
I assure you, it is no small matter for me either. We all share the responsibility for disarming this situation. I hope you have a badge for me as soon as possible. Officer. You know, I don't mean to sound cold, but if you want something, you have to give something back. More than just guilt.
You're doing it. Despite your own best efforts, you're still getting it. Somehow.
I'll be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to want to see something tangible. The Union is conducting drug trade out of the harbor. It's an open secret in Martinez. Surely it must not come as a complete surprise to the RCM either. Perhaps it's time to look into it. Or you can find your badge, which honestly seems like a lost cause.
Detective, a word in private before we continue. This is not going quite as I hoped it would, Detective. Honestly, I was expecting you to use your unorthodox technique to keep her off balance, and not volunteer us to be her henchman. This woman is running circles around us. She might have known about your misplaced badge all along, or she's simply an adept improviser. Either way, we've played straight into her hands.
He doesn't let it show, but there is a limit to how much the consequences of your unprofessional behavior can cost the investigation.
Oh, that would be fantastic, but do we have the time? The world is large and your badge is 8 by 6 centimeters.
The situation might have changed drastically by the time you locate it. Time is of the essence.
You could request a new one from your station, but that would literally take months.
It's quite straightforward. Someone is using Terminal B to smuggle raw ingredients from the Samar and Isola into Revachol with the Union's blessing. Wild Pines has suspected it for years.
Ingredients for what, ma'am?
Meth and dextroamphetamine, GBL and various synthetic psychedelics. Honestly, it might be quicker to say what you can't make from the stuff. Yes, after they clear the terminal, we lose track. The actual production is taking place at various sites in and around Jamrock Quarter, north of here.
Wild Pine seems to be well apprised of the local drug trade, ma'am. Do you mean to say the Union also produces the product? Sells drugs, I mean?
We're in logistics. It's our business to know. And no. As far as the company knows, the Union does not produce it. They transport the ingredients for a cut. Yes, but you won't get anything out of Evrat and the Dock Workers Union. Still, every chain has its weak link.
The handoff. The motor lorries at the roundabout.
Precisely. Someone needs to move the ingredients from the harbour into the city. Once they reach Jamrock, they're distributed to a network of local manufacturers well beyond our grasp. But in transit, they're vulnerable.
How convenient that they're stranded like beached whales at that roundabout.
Perhaps you've noticed that a number of lorries are tangled in a traffic jam at the roundabout just now. Interview the drivers who are still hanging about. One of them might be waiting for a crucial shipment. I'll be explicit. If you find this driver, I will share company secrets with you. The two might even be connected.
Or not. Though, if you have evidence to the contrary, I'm eager to hear it.
As eager as I am to share it, Lieutenant, once the job is done. No. We asked East Motor Track to raise the drawbridge. The road company is a partner of one of our subsidiaries. However, this is a limited time opportunity. Once the complaint has been processed by the Trade Committee, they'll have no choice but to lower the drawbridge, and the operation will continue. Thousands of litres of raw ingredients will pour onto the streets of Revachol. Not the east across the river, but the west. The vulnerable, the weary.
Well, at least this solves one mystery.
What is that, Lieutenant?
Why I had to call East Motor Track and beg them to open a drawbridge for me. I'd wondered since I first drove in, on my motor carriage.
I am sorry for the inconvenience, Lieutenant Kisaragi, but we need them trapped here. This is a unique opportunity. I'm sure you understand. How do you think they're financing this strike? There are thousands of unpaid dock workers going strong for the 4th month straight.
There was a shakedown of local businesses preceding the strike. Many were squeezed to bankruptcy to fund it.
With all due respect to these desert cacti, the contents of a few cash registers cannot provide for 2,000 men. The local businesses can scarcely provide for themselves. Precisely. Smuggled out of that very gate at night, most likely, then loaded onto lorries and driven to Jamrock. You simply need to find one driver who will open up to you.
It sounds like she tried looking into it herself, though she's clearly not the type your typical lorryman would confide in.
We did. On more than one occasion. Apparently, there's some sort of inter-precinct disagreement about whose jurisdiction this area falls under.
We know the company has launched its own probe into the union's alleged involvement. We also know it's come up empty. It's not just the RCM. No one's been able to find any hard evidence.
Well, here's your chance, officers. Yes? Excellent. It may come to nothing, or it may just blow the case wide open. I can keep the drawbridge up for a few more days at least. You should have the time you need. In the meantime, let me know if there's any other way I may be of assistance.
Is what you want to say, but it isn't that easy, is it? Look at that lady. Take a gander. Squint your eyes. These are the kind eyes of the rich man that seem to say everything is possible, within reason. Now look at you, you misery-clad simian, barely able to tie your own laces. Your armpits are lakes, a scythe of booze precedes you, your hair sticks to your forehead, and your underwear feels uncomfortable. Shame? You haven't really been in the presence of gentlefolk either, have you? What shame is there to be felt in front of these dock workers, cops, and hotel clerks, but to belittle yourself in these eyes of Odinin?
As I was saying, if there's any way I may be of assistance, please don't hesitate to ask.
Voila! You're doing it.
Why, yes, I am rich. How much money do you need? Hopefully not too much. I couldn't bring all of it with me.
She's surprisingly nonchalant about this. Could it be that she somehow knows more about your predicament than she's letting on?
That's a good sum. Not too small, not fantastically large.
Whoa, whoa! Did you see how easy that was? Ask her for more. Toot toot, train to Moneytown.
This may seem like odd behavior for a police officer, man, but it's a perfectly common side effect of his unusual medical episode.
It's all right, Lieutenant. I really did bring as little cash with me as possible to avoid attention. So here you are. The last bit of filthy lucre I can share. So, I hope I didn't just bribe you, officer. It may not be technically illegal under the Emergency Act, but still.
You're right, man, that donations are permitted under the Emergency Act, unseemly as it may be, as long as they're properly logged with the precinct.
Which he most certainly will do. Now, how else can I help the RCM today, besides supplementing its salaries? Of course, Detective. Take care.
isn't just a five-pointed star. It's an inverted white pentagram cradled in a wreath of antlers, the iconography of communism, in other words. The star and antlers was developed in the 6th decade of the last century and quickly adopted by Mezov and the communards during the revolution. Even today, half a century after, the star and antlers retains the ability to evoke hope, disappointment, and fear in equal measure. Nothing at all yet. Right now, it's just meaningless shapes on a wall. This door is made of metal and appears to be reinforced. Someone here really values their security. Number 28. This is where the cleaning lady said the smoker on the balcony lives.
Let's see if anyone's home. Knock on the door.
No one answers.
Looks like the young man we are looking for isn't home. I think our best chance to catch him is in the evening. We should return tomorrow after we have finished with our day's work. How about 9 p.m.? Sound good? The smoker on the balcony. This is why we're here, right? He might know something about the murder. So tomorrow 9 p.m.?
Suddenly, he's a little worried about your memory. Don't worry. It's mostly all still here. You can remember things. You got this.
Tomorrow, 9 p.m., right here. Apartment number 28. Good, let's go.
Damn. Turns out it's quite tricky finding someone in a big apartment building. Don't worry. You'll get him. Remember, tomorrow, he's probably gone for today. No one answers.
We should return tomorrow. Tomorrow at 9 p.m.
The tear machine stands in the corner. Your bottles clunk into the machine, and the money appears with a satisfying jingle. You're
Getting past the man ain't that simple after all. So, what now?
If it's so simple, why did the scab leader warn you of the guards blocking the way? The coin narrowly slips by your outstretched fingers and falls to the ground. Lieutenant Kitsuragi picks up the coin and hands it to you. A lorry stuck in the traffic jam. This big, heavy Grad-made machine is well kept for such an old machine. The windows are clear. They've been recently washed. You can see a lorryman's cabin with personal belongings, stickers, insignia. The driver has adorned his space with a substantial collection of peculiar paraphernalia. Proclamations about honor, strength, and purity are glued to various panels. The back end of the cabin is a small perch to sleep, large ashtrays. There are several suns and wheels sewn into the curtains. A book with ragged edges catches your notice. The front cover features a large, muscular man. The title reads,
Racist nationalist paraphernalia. Not unusual in this part of town. This is our guy. Likely, yes. This guy's proud of who he is. Drapes it all over his machine.
There are clothes inside. Cheap second-hand clothes, smelling of strangers' body odors.
Don't be shy. These are premium class clothes. Good quality fabrics, best retro design. Save the economy with your style, officer.
You find your hands deep in tattered and faded garments made from weird polyester blends that make your body itch and sweat in all the wrong places.
Economical, but also trendy. Look first-hand, buy second-hand. Keep the economy moving.
No good. All you can come up with are some treated wool pants. You can tell they're too tight around your thighs and too loose around the waist.
No luck? Why not take another look, officer? Keep supporting the economy.
There's a pile of cheap sunglasses in a small box, a variety of shapes and colors.
You like sunglasses, officer? I've got the latest styles right here.
Abort. These are hideous. What's more, they don't even fit your face. You can feel them pinching your nose and chafe.
Damn, officer! You look like a mega secret spy. Very secret. They're practically made for you. I'll let you have them for 2 Real and 50 cents.
No, you are definitely not buying those.
Are you sure? But they look so good on you.
These are all boring. Boring third-rate ho-hum sunglasses made of cheap Syrahese plastic. The kind of plastic that melts in the sun. Those UV stickers are almost certainly just there for the show. If anything, these lenses probably direct more UV light into your pupils. A UV magnifier.
These are all first-rate sunglasses. Premium design, superb material, very cool, UV resistant. These will definitely keep your eyes safe and cool while doing your dangerous police work.
No luck. All you find is this lime-colored cellophane visor, produced by a bargain sportswear brand called Amphibian, apparently. There's a malformed green frog on its bent cap.
Oh, that visor is perfect for you, officer. It'll definitely keep the sun out of your eyes while you're shooting criminals. Bang, bang! And all for a mere 6 Real. You don't like it? Sure, Square Joe. No problem. Let's get you some real shades.
You see 2 lowly, defeated speakers, thralls, slaves basically, perched atop them like conquerors surveying the land. A pair of found, durable wear sneakers, ultra serious.
I can see you've a taste for luxury, officer. Can't keep your eyes off those sneakers?
A pair of found ultras. The design is impossibly sleek and simple. A futuristic silhouette with a sleek monochrome colorway, a jet black upper, and a silver-lined midsole.
Those sneakers, mister. Those sneakers are the latest found sneakers. Super air, super fine, super cool. Only 50 Real.
Only? That's madness. Found ultra. We're the future. You remember the slogan from some magazine. These once respectable speakers have been conquered, reduced to a mere prop by the indomitable found ultras atop them.
No, don't look at the speakers, officer. Look at the sneakers. The sneakers are the stars here. These, officer? These speakers are Samaran garbage. I'm ashamed to even use them for props. Don't waste your time on them.
Samaran trash? That sounds like they're from the Samaran People's Republic, produced under the dictatorship of the proletariat.
No way, officer! These aren't for sale. They're bad speakers. Low-fi socialist junk. No, officer. You're a high-class policeman who accepts nothing less than the best. Lucky for you, I've got the best on sale. Well, if you want them... But see, They are the pedestal for my sneakers. If I let go of the speakers, where will the sneakers go? I can't leave premium lifestyle sneakers on the ground. If, on the other hand, you wanted to buy the sneakers too, I could maybe throw in the speakers for little extra. 50 cents?
Damn, so you have to buy the sneakers first. Hey, psst. Yes, you. Word on the street is you're ready to start building communism again. Yes, you're ready to start building communism again. You've built it before. They've built it before. Hasn't really worked out yet. But neither has love. Should we just stop building love, too? So, what about all that communism you've promised to build? Word on the street is you've woken up from 1,000 years of slumber, promising to erect a version of communism many times greater than any attempted before. Is that true? You keep saying things like, down with the bourgeoisie, eat the rich, sodomize the landowners, impale all people who have more than 25 real in their pocket, literally murder all human beings regardless of their political beliefs. That kind of stuff. Funky style. Very funky. So tell me, do you have any questions before we fire up the big communism builder? Or do we get right down to it? Oh yeah, get the firing squads and the animal wagons ready.
Evening, officers.
A burly man hangs out by the waterlock, carving up a generous serving of salami with an old hunter's knife. His eyes are fixed on a man stranded on the other side of the waterlock and on an enormous billboard that has fallen down into the canal between them.
My friend Barry the Butcher is stuck on the other side of the waterlock. I'm keeping him company and eating his salami.
From the corner of your eye, you see a man in a yellow shirt and grey overalls waving at you from across the canal. He seems disappointed about the wreckage on the waterlock and the salami.
Very good stuff. Anything I can do for you, officer? I wasn't here to witness it, but those look like tire tracks on that sign. Weird, huh? Then again, plenty of daredevil drivers in Revachol.
The words daredevil driver sound ominous to you.
Too bad it also takes a year and a day to repair anything round here, especially a waterlock. The rest of the coast is closed off till then. Well, there's the fishing village, an abandoned fish market, a bizarro church. Not much use to the congregation, though. There always seems to be something wrong with it. Yeah, not really much else. Just bombed-out ruins. Sure thing. Want some too, officer?
Why not?
A couple of indicator lights are missing from this control panel. Loose wires dangle from the now vacant holes. In the middle is a lever. Beneath it, a small metal plaque. This panel usually closes the waterlock, turning it into a bridge that lets you cross the canal. But there's a crashed salmon and butter sign in the way. Pulling the lever probably won't do anything. You pull the lever all the way up until the metal clicks against the contact pins. You hear a soft clunk. Then nothing happens. Nothing happens. A cold gust of wind blowing in from the sea interrupts the silence of the situation. A spring brings the lever back to its original position. You still need to close the waterlock to get across the canal. Wasn't there a sign over there saying functionality will be restored on Wednesday morning? You see rows of toy soldiers guarding the rest of the trinkets displayed on the table. Some on horseback, others in rags, others yet in bright blue uniforms. All are stern and unyielding in their duty. Try to find something pretty and cool here, then use it to win her back. Yes, buy something nice, a figurine. Big men on big horses, clad in lamella armor and carrying flintlocks, the kind that would mow down a line of enemy soldiers in the blink of an eye.
Franco-Nigerian knight. I used to be very serious about these guys.
A long, long time ago. Everything you pick out seems faded, chipped, and sad sometimes. Most of them are just broken toys. They're not all blue. These figurines also wear gold coats and caps, complemented by orange trousers. They are variously posed, wielding swords and rifles with bayonets.
This is what the loyalists looked like, yes, at first. Then they wised up and got camouflage.
This set of soldiers isn't meant to look impressive. A few. What's this? We're getting reports of normal, reasonable, temperate, political opinions somewhere in Martinez. Of course, a radical centrist. In these bright and loud times where 1,000 frequencies drown one another out, sober thinking is a radical act. It's time to become a citizen of the kingdom of conscience. It is not a place. It is a moment in time that can only arise in the right circumstances. In all of human history, it's only been achieved a handful of times. Incrementally. Yawn, you'd get there faster with a little speed. History's greatest catastrophes have been brought about by people trying to make the world a better place too quickly. That's the genius of Dolores Day. She recognized that progress is meaningless if its gains are lost because of instability. Real, lasting change can only come about gradually, increment by increment. Tisk tisk, just because you live in the present doesn't mean you have the right to place your needs above the needs of the future. You may never live to see the kingdom of conscience. Your children may not. Even your grandchildren might not. But that's no excuse not to keep working. What rationality? What a fucking joke. Do you believe the status quo is preferable to chaos and bloodshed? There you have it. Sometimes holding the line is progress. The kingdom is difficult to comprehend and even more difficult to describe. Partly because humanity will need to discard many of the categories that define and limit it today. The kingdom of conscience is post-capitalist, post-national. It's also post-industrial, post-ideological, and even post-sexual. Slow down, Mr. Reasonable. Did you miss the part about compromising and taking things slow? That's right. Remember, real democracy is just around the corner for Revachol. When that real democracy kicks in, a long time from now, we are all going to be so much happier. The boomboxes on the shelf look well-loved and well-traveled, chipped dented, they stare at you with the unblinking eyes of their tape reels. One especially catches your eye. Deep gold and amber plastic with a big old handle on top. A classic boombox that says, Stereo 8 approved. This is you. Golden orange. A sunset suite. Just make sure it works before you buy it. You see rows of toy soldiers guarding the
What can I...
His courtesy is not insincere, but he prefers being alone with his projector, just watching the movement of light across the walls of the shop.
Oh, no, not at all. I guess I haven't had many customers lately, RCM or otherwise.
Who are your customers usually?
All kinds of people come through here. Locals, travelers, people looking for a deal, people looking for a keepsake, people who are terminally bored. As you can see, I have a wide selection of goods for everyone to choose from. It keeps me entertained.
Entertained? He might be high. If he is, on what? Okay, he definitely is high. Whatever it is, you've probably done it, and many other things besides. But you can't cut through the jumble of sensations to get to the answer. Looking at his wares, talking to him, that might give you more clues. A guarded man like him wouldn't tell you if you asked out loud. This is a pawn shop, and it did feel as if you've met before. Oh God, The lieutenant shifts from one foot to another, alert.
Right, so let me get this right. You sold your sidearm, issued by the citizens' militia, and now a civilian is running around the streets of Martinez with it?
Miraculously, his face does not reveal what's happening inside.
Yeah, it's not good. I do hope we manage to clean this mess up somehow, while also keeping our focus on the murder investigation.
This mess, he means your mess. He's not telling you the whole story. It seems he's trying to spare you. The lieutenant looks from you to Roy, and then back to you. It's clear that he hopes this tableau might still turn out to be a bad dream. It's not, though. This has got to be the most. Wow. There's pity there, too, in case you didn't notice. A needle in a haystack. There is nothing you can do about it now. You'll just have to hope you luck upon her somehow. A needle in a haystack. There is nothing you can do about it now. You'll just have to... He doesn't know anything. The pawnbroker's gaze is already fixed on the dancing colors. A typical Martinez streetlight sits among assorted floor and table lamps. Okay, that checks out. The light pole has been carefully cut, and the wiring has been redone and attached to a standard indoor plug. The light buzzes faintly, but persistently. This would make quite a statement in your living room.